All right, now at 7 o'clock, we're going to start this board meeting of the regular meeting of the October for Savoy Board of Trustees. At this time, we do have a quorum. Barbara, would you lead us in the word of prayer?
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings that you've given us. We ask that you be with us tonight as we make decisions for the school district, that we keep in mind the kids first and help us to make the best decisions possible for our school. We ask all these things through your most precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. At this time, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, one state under God, one indivisible.
Yeah. All right, next thing on the agenda is a student and teacher of the month. We'll start out with the
Elementary first. Well, I got two great candidates here tonight. I'm gonna start with my student. It's Lily Powers. Lily, could come on down. Lily's one of our third graders. He was recommended by Miss Grant as our student of the month. I'm just gonna read you a few things Miss Grant had to say about her and brag on her a little bit more. Lily's a great asset to the classroom. She also always participates in class discussions. Lily's a hard worker. Always has her work turned in on time and displays a great attitude towards her peers. I talked to Lily. She's also one of our peer leaders in our organizations, and she's trying out for a couple of UIL competitions. She said chess and storytelling, right? Yeah. So she is our elementary student of the month.
Well, congratulations.
And our teacher of the month is Miss Keck. Miss Keck's been here a while. We're going to talk about how long. She is one of our veteran teachers. Brag on you. So one of the things me and Miss Keck got to do together, and we talked to y'all a little bit about, is Reading Academy. We're actually both Reading Academy graduates.
And then we worked.
We do got 5 teachers going through that right now, but hopefully, and when you look at teachers that probably didn't need Reading Academy, somebody that's already doing reading recovery and our early childhood program for as long as Ms. Keck has done it. She's definitely an asset to this district. She's got some unique abilities because she gets to teach the first grade class itself, but also in the reading recovery, focus on those at risk as well with Ms. Weger, who was recognized last year. So 2 of our teachers with reading recovery that are being recognized to show you that early childhood program is very, very vital in our success all the way throughout our elementary. So we're glad to have her. Glad to have her as our teacher of the month.
Thank you. Nice. I had to side. I had to be on this side.
It's a good thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At school, we'll start with student of the month, Maverick Walker. Maverick Walker is championship fantasy football general manager, probably first and foremost. But he was actually nominated by Miss Sitara, who is here this evening as well. Said that he's very intelligent, very passionate, especially in social studies. He's kind and humorous, and make a great professor one day, and and I really like adding to the end, it just changed the lives of the students. So, Maverick does a great job with everything we do in UIL. How's the fantasy football team doing? Not great. We'll try not to knock you too hard.
Great.
Good job, Matt. Ms. Tracy C. Tyrot, she does so many things on our campus. She does tech support. She coordinates UIL activities. She coaches UIL. She has an audio video class where we have students that make monthly videos for our campus that have announcements and all sorts of things. Actually, tomorrow we're organizing a virtual challenge meet for academic UIL, and she's organized all the times and put students in the slot so that we can even though high school students don't compete until the spring, they're still practicing and they're still getting better each and every day. So she devotes a lot of time and energy to that, besides also teaching every other class period throughout the day. So she's a tremendous asset to everything we do, not just on our campus, but district-wide. And we are blessed to have her at our campus. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Okay, thank y'all, and congratulations to all y'all. Right now, we have a presentation from Governor Capital David Wade.
You can plug yours in.
David.
Yes.
Oh, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Oh,
There you go. Well, thank you all for having me out this evening. It's close. My name is David Falkus with Government Capital, for those that haven't met. So, just coming out this evening to run through some numbers for you and talk some options. Morris and I have gone over your list of needs. So these shared with me a little bit, so we can talk about some things that we can look at. Jance, have you shared the needs list?
well, so we had a meeting last Monday and what we can. All kinds of real estate. Thank you, sir. So last week we talked about stuff that we have to get done, which would be the intercoms and the phones in the classroom. Number one, the roof at the gym was number two, is where we ranked, and we put baseball and softball resurfacing number 4. From last Monday until today, well, I've had people out, guys out, ladies out, and got some more numbers in. So over here, we talked about the roofing structure over here and what all needs to be replaced, what's under warranty, what's not. For everything not under warranty, which will have to be replaced here eventually, is going to be roughly $850,000 at the elementary campus. That does include the field house. Phone and intercoms, which we ranked number 1. We had some guys out last week, and then we had some guys out today. Today, the guys today blew them out of the water. Rapi and I met with them. They can use our existing structure, our existing speakers, kind of the system we have in place. If we did the high school, which we need to do the high school first, correct, Rapi? That's what we talked about. Roughly 70,000 over there, 79,000 over here. So they're coming in $6,000 cheaper for way better equipment, more resources, and a system more suited to our needs, where each teacher can call in and out. We can call in and out. There's an emergency button. There's a lockdown button. They can call to the police, tornado warning, hurricane warning, lockdown warning, whatever it may be. We can do every bit of that. Phones will come in after that at about $16,000 a year forever, from now until when, we don't have school anymore. That's what it's going to be.
So I know I've had numerous people ask me, that was mandated by the governor's task force on this, after this Uvalde deal, or how'd that come about? Just so we know, when people ask us.
2 months ago, we had that Friday news dump, we have to do our door audit. We have to do our safety audit. He started pumping stuff out. Eventually, we have 3 years to be completely secure with our safety. I don't want to wait 3 years for a teacher to be able to call to the principal's office, or for Daniel or Danny to be able to call to a teacher's classroom. Where are they out of Rapi? Were they at a Coppell, or where were they? They're in Dallas. They're in the Dallas area. if I can get on the phone in my office or hit a button in my office and say, this district is in lockdown. Now we can hear that at the bus barn. We can hear that at the ag shop. We can hear that in the ag barn out there at the football field, in the field house, wherever it is, everybody knows. It's not, hey, call the police. Hey, call Danny. Hey, call Daniel. It is a one-way communication system where everybody knows everything instantly. I'll get a text message. You guys will get text messages. We can do as much or as little as we want with this deal. One of the big selling points to me where he said, we don't have a top tier and we don't have a bottom tier. We have our system, and our system is the system you need. And that I really, really appreciated that and liked that, because they're not trying to sell us something. They are, but they're trying to protect us. They're trying to protect kids. They're doing the right thing. They go from Corpus Christi to Memphis, Tennessee, and start many, many districts in between. So that is going to be roughly $150,000. The roof upgrades, like I said, $850.
Now, is the roof upgrade just at the elementary?
That's just here. So when Wendell came out the other day for the high school, that's going to be $220.
So we're looking at $1 million right
on
now.
roofs. This one is more pressing than these over here.
But the 220 for the high school roof is just the gym.
That's just the gym. Over here, that's basically everything, including the field house. So $1 million in roofing.
Was when he gave that presentation, was that just pictures of the high school stuff? I don't remember. Was that something?
That was just over here.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So he didn't send pictures. He was out here, I want to say Monday of last week. He was walking all the roofs. He has all those, but I chose not to bring him back tonight. But he did send me the numbers, and I have the highlighted portions of what he'll replace. But that's the price it'll be. Another thing we have discussed is bringing architects out to render drawings for us at for baseball, for softball, for track, for all of that. So we had an architect and a track guy come out last week, and we walked over here to the football field, and we, in our minds are saying we could do a track there. If we want a track, we can do a track over there at the existing football field. That's not the best spot. It's not the ideal spot. So we went over here, by the ag shop, where the bonfire is, by the baseball field, we looked at everything out there. There are multiple areas to put it. There's one major concern over there. Y'all want to guess what it is?
That's right away,
Do what?
right away.
The gas line.
The gas. That is a concern. So you have to do a soils, I can't remember what he called it. You got to do all kinds of soil testing, it's all included in the price. But to do all of that over there, this would be a track with lights and a practice football field on the inside of it. Not a new stadium, not new stands, not new bleep, nothing like that. Just practice field in track over there. $1.6 million is what that is for an 8-lane track. So we didn't put that up at the high needs of our list or anything. That's just guys we brought out and talked to.
What was the cost on the lights at the softball and baseball field when you got that for us here earlier this year?
The softball and baseball field without lights, just to completely resurface those, is $400,000. I haven't even priced lights on those since.
I thought you
Yeah, lights in the beginning.
Yeah,
Way early on, it's 500.
It was 500. Okay.
So since then, I haven't done that. Yes, I haven't done it, and that's going to go
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was. I need.
back in $500,000. Yes,
And there was another 400,000 with dirt work, right?
yes, sir. So
That's $1 million.
you're looking at $1 million on baseball, softball. You're looking at 1.6 on track, 850 for the roofs here, 150 for phones, intercoms, 250
3.6
for
million is what you're looking at right now. Yeah.
So funny you say 3.6 million. David and Wade came out last week. David's here today, and we were just talking through things we can do, ways we can get this done. Not that everything has to be done, today or this year or next year or even the year after, but there are some things that have to be done. The phones and the intercom have to be done. That's not a me deal. That's not a y'all deal. People are telling us, the state is telling us, y'all have to do this eventually. You have a little bit of time, but it's going to have to be done. The roof is going to have to be done by somebody at some point, because, if the roof caves in or whatever, if the roof tears up, then we're replacing the roof. We're replacing gym floors. We're replacing bleachers in there. The other things are, I don't want to say they're negotiable, but, we can rank those however we want to rank them. But there are a bunch of things that need to be done around here that are going to have to be done eventually. And I'm trying to figure out, and we are trying to figure out the best way to do them. So with that, I'll let David talk.
All right, thanks. And without going back 20 years in history, it used to be you had a lot of capacity on your maintenance and operations side when we were at $1.50. That's all been compressed, and you get, I hate to say artificially, but you get compressed by the state every year. And I think this next year, or currently all at what, about 89 cents right now, 86, somewhere in there. Yeah, in that ballpark. So you get squeezed on the operational side. So one thing we looked at was the potential for a bond to pay for all this. You currently have some debt outstanding that will fall off the books. I think your last payment is in February of 24. So you kind of have, depending on when you want to make that first payment, you really are looking at either May of 23, November of 23, in order to be able to make a payment so that you have a level tax rate. So you don't have a kind of a roller coaster situation. So we looked at some numbers, kind of ballpark. The numbers I ran were about 3.45. But again, I don't know what kind of contingencies are in there. We're in that odd place where costs are still going up, timelines are still getting extended. And of course, interest rates, are all over the place right now. I think the Fed meets again November 2nd and December 13th, talking about probably another 75 basis point jump. Now, that doesn't always affect the bond market so much because it actually draws people to the bond markets, right? Because typically you are a very secure investment for folks. But so we looked at a couple of different things on this. I'll try to stand over here so I'm not in anybody's way. And I know that's tiny, but here we looked at about 3.5 million, and that can go up or down. We asked Oppenheimer to run this at your current rate of 11 cents. Say, what would that generate? And that gets you to about 3.5 million, which is kind of the number you're looking at. That 11 cents, this is, paying on your current bond, you're paying just under $245,000 a year. That basically frees up $245,000 a year, and that's where we kind of generate that number. Now, there may be a little bit of overlap here. I wouldn't pay much attention to that. I think that rate that first year may be 12 cents instead of 11. But there's a little bit of leveling off there. Now, some things to notice is, these are the grade is kind of in history. That's where we've been. And you see what your appraisal jumps have looked like. Now, that means that your taxes out of your pockets. But in the county in this area, you've seen, some pretty high jumps in the last 3 or 4 years. Whenever we take these things to the AG to get kind of a stamp of approval, we really don't even look at that number. What we've kind of projected are kind of 5% for the next couple of years, 2%, then we go to zeros because we try to show the state a conservative number, knowing that will probably never be zero, but that's just what we have to share with the state. So this would be your tax rate within a penny or two of itself gets you to about 3.5 million, which gets everything on the list that Jan's mentioned. Now, one thing that we had been talking about is there are some other options on the M&O side. There's something called a time warrant where you can borrow up to $1 million up to 15 years for new or expanded facilities. That's new stuff. That's not roofs, but like the the track. Could potentially fall under that, but that number is 1.8 million. So that's kind of out of that realm. So you're back looking at bond.
Let me stop you. So to make sure we're clear on this, that loan could not be used to fix the roofs because it's not new, right?
That's correct. The other loan I'm about to talk about is called a maintenance tax note, which sounds like I can repair stuff with that. That one you can actually borrow. There's what they call a 50-cent tax. You can do on the high side, you can never go into 50 cents. And even though this is M&O debt, we still have to run through that calculation. But we look to the prioritize this and include the funds and include the roof and the gym. So it's not it's not area, and I think you could probably squeeze 2.5 million on the maintenance side. What's your top of those things right now? But you come in 1,000 to do a 15-year loan. Again, I'm 5%. This is a question that was changed. Since. Picture. Maybe the rates on that shorter term note are a little higher than bond, but we need to get these things done today. Don't know if we have the appetite to go for bond right now, but we need to get these things done. The board could adopt what's called an reimbursement resolution, where you can pay yourself back in private bond in the next 6 to 8 months, or you could pay that debt off with bond money. Yeah, I would want to look at kind of a life cycle of those items. You don't want to pay 30 years for a 10-year item, so you kind of have to consider those things. The risk there is, with an $800,000 debt, that's for those prioritized items. We're going to go to a private bank or a private investor and say, will you invest in this? And if we tell them, but we may pay it off in 12 to 18 months, sometimes they get a little shy of that, and that could affect your interest rate on that other loan. Right. So that's just one of those things to keep in mind. You may say, let's do those 3 things. We don't want to do a bond, not right now, not while I'm on the board. And we do those and you move on, and Mr. Floyd, but they work that into the budget where they make that payment. And of course, if you did this on the M&O side, and that reduced that number from 3.5, 3.6 down to 2.7, 2.8, obviously then you could do a $2.5 million bond, and those rates would be less than 11 cents, or you could do a shorter term and keep it at 11 cents.
So what y'all's rate versus what y'all charge us versus which one we do? Is it the same, or whether we do?
Yeah, I think actually on the maintenance side, we probably charge less. I mean, there's just some kind of set fees, but it's going to be in that 1% range or less.
Terry, can I ask here if anybody out here has any questions on that?
Audience have any questions that they'd like to ask?
Let me, before the one thing I would say is if we do two, like if you do the maintenance note and then you did a bond later, you're paying some fees for attorneys, you're paying some fees for placement agents. I mean, attorney fees, I'd want to get something approved through the AG's office, is $1,500, $1,750, something like that. There may be some minimum fees that you'd be paying twice if you did it that way. So that's
The scheme of things, nothing huge. I mean,
it's not, it's I don't want to say a rounding error, but it's a pretty small amount on those. But your
I get
fiduciary, I need to disclose those things too. I'm sorry.
Anybody on the board have anything they want? Was that a good explanation to what we were talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think I
So
understand.
you're talking about a bond just for intercom and phones, roof at the elementary gym, campus, field house, the high school gym, softball, baseball fields, and a track. That what y'all are talking about?
That would be the total $3.5 million.
So I understand all of the numbers part and all this kind of stuff, but I don't understand the wants versus needs. I mean, I get the intercom phone and classrooms is a need. The elementary school gym, that's a need because you don't want to ruin the gym floor. What's wanted and needed, we need to differentiate. We don't need the track. We don't need something. Let's think about what we need versus what we want if we're going to be paying on it for 30 years. That's just what
I understand,
but I understand all the 7%. You're saying a 7% bond or 7%. 7% goes for the bond or the loan. Is that right?
Right now it'd be below 5, but there's a risk in next May. It could be as high as 7%. Right. Now, I've talked to mortgage bankers that think after the election it's going to dip back down, which could still be at 5.5 or 6. Right now, bonds.
That's just a rough estimate.
Correct. It's all a rough estimate. Last week, bonds sold what they call a true interest cost, they were in the low fours, 4.1, 4.18, somewhere there.
So 800,000 would be for like a loan, and that would be 15 years.
They could be up to 15 years. That's correct.
That's as long as they could go out on that.
Yes, that's correct. And again, the board could say, let's look at a 12-year. Maybe we know we have this much in the budget, and again, investors like longer holdings, if you will, particularly with muni.
So if
type
they
deals.
had a chance to pay it off early, would they be penalized for that?
With the, that would all have to be set up in the features of the loan. So if you did a bond, if it's say a 20-year bond, there's something called a call period. That's typically about half the life of a bond, but even in a 30-year, you typically plug it in about 10 years, but if it's shorter, it's about half. So that protects investors, right, who are buying that debt. But then in 10 years or whatever that date is, if the rates were low, you could refinance that, keep the years the same, right, and hopefully save money on interest.
But would they be penalized if they paid it off early?
You can't pay it off until you get to that call feature. Now, with the $800,000 maintenance note that we talked about, if the board wanted to do what's called a reimbursement resolution, then they could pay themselves back out of bond proceeds if they decided to do that, or they could say, let's just keep that $800,000, that payment's in the budget, and we go from there.
I mean, if they had, I'm asking if they had a loan and they had, this don't ever happen, but let's just say for theoretically it did, they had extra money that they wanted to put towards the loan and not do a bond reinvestment and pay ourselves back for that. Can they pay that off early without penalties?
Again, I would say it would depend on how the loan is structured with the investors. Hopefully we'll be in an environment that investors are gobbling up school district debt, because that's still a good investment. It's still a stable investment. But when you start adding additional features to them, then it can cause people to kind of go, eh. And it just depends on the market and really the day of the sale, quite honestly. I'm sorry to not be able to.
That's okay. I was just wondering if there's a, like you go and buy your house and there's a penalty for paying it off early. Some people like to pay an extra payment.
I would say there's a penalty. There may just be a restriction on when we can pay that back. Is that maybe a better way of answering that question?
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Okay. All right, thank you.
And I'll be here for a few minutes. So
Okay.
Don't forget to take it. Oh, yes, sir. I'm glad you're keeping it.
Okay, with that, we will move to public forum. The first one will be Wade Davis. You got about 3 minutes, just jump all over.
All right, my name is Wade Davis. Thank y'all for letting me speak tonight and stress some important things that I think are important. Thank you for the job that y'all do. I know besides the high pay, it's a thankless job. So I really do appreciate what y'all do. I want to talk about, I don't have much time, so I want to jump right into it. The SOR officer, the school resource officer, and the importance that I think should be placed on that. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't on the agenda tonight. If I was on the school board, I think